Hey everybody, welcome to the Stable Podcast. I hope you are having a good time hanging out in the wrestling world. You are joining us for episode 18 of the Stable Podcast. It may look a little lonely at our table. It may look like it's just Deb and I, but
Hi,
I can
Dawn.
assure you that it's not.
We're not alone.
Hey, that's me.
That's still you. Oh, that's me. Hi. Hello, me. So nice to see you. Oh,
Hey,
there he is.
There he is.
I'm here.
There's
That's
the
right.
third.
That's right. Josh is doing the Lord's work on the camera.
He gets the joy of being the producer
That's right.
and the director and
killing
the in charge of photography and yeah,
He's doing the work.
he's doing the work,
We get to be the faces. He's doing the work.
Turns out you get the same salary doing this.
Yes,
which is zero. I'm pretty sure.
that is true. So before we get into our episode, we're going to do a quick intro. I know that we kind of silly just did, but let's go ahead and start over here to my right.
This is Dr. Deb.
This is Josh.
And of course, I am your host, Big Don. In general, we wanted to just do a little bit of a wrestling catch-up. So the last time we got a chance to sit around the mics, we talked about a bunch of the new changes that had happened in episode 16, we talked about a ton of the crazy changes that have been happening in WWE with Paul Levesque.
Levesque.
That still feels so strange to me. Paul Levesque.
Trips.
Trips. Being in the driver's seat of the creative nature of WWE and how exciting that really is.
Yeah,
it
still is.
And then episode 17, we got a chance to talk about some of the really cool changes that were, or not changes, but really cool storylines that were coming up with the AEW pay-per-view of All Out in Chicago. And so I kind of want to pick up there and just do some fun, quick, hot summaries of some of the things that have gone down that we can kind of catch up with, and then just talk maybe a little bit about some of the prospects that we see coming around the corner and stuff.
Ooh, the possibilities.
Now, Josh and Deb went with a couple of friends of ours.
Friends of the podcast.
Yes. Danny's been on our podcast before,
Yep.
one or two times, talking about wrestling. And she is a crazy AEW fan, which is incredible. She's a crazy wrestling fan, which is incredible.
Yeah, she is.
So
She's
out
around
to
Becky
Danny.
Lynch, and she will totally fangirl it up for Becky Lynch.
Absolutely. So Danny got to go, Danny went, and then we have a friend that Josh and Deb go to church with named Quentin, who is a huge wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And
You think he's crazier than us?
My boy loves some Roman Reigns.
Yes.
That's we'll get into that later. Loves some Roman Reigns.
He does.
He got to go to All Out in Chicago with Josh and Deb, and from what it sounds like, had a fantastic time. But I did not get a chance to go this year. I'm still in the community theater production of Sweeney Todd. And
Yeah,
have
ooh.
been having a blast with that.
So good. But we digress with that.
Yes,
But it was
we digress.
quite good. Whew.
So I would like to hear from both you, Deb, and Josh, just
Man
about
behind
some
the
of your general feelings about the pay-per-view, how you felt like it went overall. I know that last year when we went to All Out, it was an insane show. I literally couldn't even talk the Monday after because not only did, I'm a huge mark, and I've said this before, not only did Ruby Soho show up, but then we had the surprise Adam Cole reveal, and then the Bryan Danielson reveal right after that. And that's just the people who showed up unexpectedly, not counting any of the actual matches that happened.
Which were all really, really, really good.
Incredible. So anyhow, so I want to hear how your guys' experience went at All Out this year. Tell us a little bit about maybe like your favorite match or just your general, your general take home for the pay-per-view.
So I was the one who made the notes, so I'm going to start, and I'm sure the producer will cut in at various times to give his opinions about it.
That's true.
There were high expectations for All Out. Because, as we say, last year was incredible. So, unfortunately, they're a victim of their own success, kind of like Disney. How good were you? Can you be that good again? Well, overall, I'm going to give you just a big overarching despite anything that you may have heard that happened after All Out,
which we'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll get there. The show was really, really good. We left afterwards going, that was a great pay-per-view. And it would be hard to top what last year's All Out is. So I don't think it topped it. But I think as for the quality of the wrestling, the reveal at the end, which I guess at this point, it wouldn't be spoilers anymore. We're far enough out. But the reveal of the Joker at the end, overall, I thought they did a great job. So I'll give you a quick, we're not going through every match. This is not a pure All Out review. But I will tell you some of the highlights. FTR and Wardlow versus Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns was so good. And Dax's daughter coming out at the end. Excuse me, you're not crying. I'm not crying. We're all crying together.
Yeah. I'm crying.
Was it fight like an 8-year-old
Fight
girl?
like an 8-year-old girl.
Heck yeah.
Oh my goodness.
If you don't understand that reference, definitely it's worth it is worth
Check it
your
out.
time.
Look it up. Look up Fight Like an 8-Year-Old Girl on YouTube, and it will probably pop up with all sorts of stuff about FTR. But fantastic. Wardlow was so over. Oh my goodness. This guy, now that he is at least a bit out of MJF's shadow, so to speak, so solid. He is so over. Oh my goodness. 4 power bombs taken by Jay Lethal. Should have gotten a Purple Heart. That's what I wrote right there. Should have gotten a Purple Heart. It's right there. What else? Oh, the match that was the most over. So do I think it was the best match? No, but the most ridiculously over match was Swerve versus The Acclaimed. Now, for those of you who are watching it on TV.
It's Swerve in Our Glory versus The Acclaimed.
Right.
Sorry, it felt like it was Swerve versus The Acclaimed in a couple of parts. Anyway, sorry. Swerve in Our Glory versus The Acclaimed. That's how distracted I was, because apparently I couldn't even get the whole match out of my mouth correctly, because the energy in that building with that match was ridiculous. I don't know if it could completely come through the TV. They were Acclaimed was so over, and the crowd was pushing Swerve in Our Glory to be the heel, even though they weren't really the heel. Any other situation, these guys would have been faces. They had to play heel, and they played to it, because that crowd was not having anybody as a face but the Acclaimed. There were so many chants of, apparently Scissor Me Daddy is a song. If you didn't know that, it is a full out song that people were like singing full out parts to. I mean, it was ridiculous. However, at the end, when Swerve in Our Glory won, oh, that crowd was mad. Holy cow. I was like, they should have called an audible. All 4 of us looked at each other and go, why didn't they give it to The Acclaimed? Actually, I take that back. No, our producer said no, because he went, because they're going to give it to him at Arthur Ashe. And I went,
That's exactly what I said.
I know. And you know what? He wasn't wrong, but that crowd was not happy. I was like, okay, please tell me you're not going to throw objects, people, because we're only halfway through this show. But Acclaimed was so over. So I was so excited for them. I was just, I don't know. They've got the energy. They've got it. And so now that they are the champ, again, fast forward to the Arthur Ashe show that just happened. I'm so glad that they did that, because it was high time. The best match, in my opinion, like the best wrestling match, had to have been Danielson versus Jericho, but it was also the most technical match. It was also the slowest match, because there were a ton of reversals on reversals on reversals. It was an old school wrestling match, at which for some people, they might have been kind of like, oh, this is boring. I was fascinated, because they were doing holds, moves, stuff that I'm like, how did he just get out of that, reverse it, selling it? I mean, these are 2 phenomenal wrestlers. So if you want to watch a good wrestling match, you need to watch that match, because again, anything Danielson does is gold, and he was with Jericho, who could totally do it with him.
And as a result, Chris Jericho is now the greatest professional wrestler ever.
Yes.
At least according to him.
At least according to him. I say yes because that's what he's saying. I don't believe it for an instant. It's Bryan Danielson. But anywho, those are my highlights, dear. What are you remembering, man behind the curtain?
Oh, I get to remember things.
You get to remember things.
I'm in agreement, particularly about Bryan Danielson, Chris Jericho, especially now in the aftermath where we're at, that we've got Chris Jericho as the Ring of Honor World Champion, and we have John Moxley is the AEW World Champion.
We'll get there.
Having Jericho beat Bryan Danielson in this particular situation helped Jericho while not hurting Bryan. And we'll comment even more, like, with the Arthur Ashe show and John Moxley ultimately winning and beating Bryan Danielson. I still don't think Bryan Danielson is hurt from a character perspective. The Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory, in my opinion, was the best match of the night because of the crowd. That said, you will never see a bad match from the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega.
Correct.
Versus Hangman Page and the Dark Order.
You're not wrong.
It's just, you can't. That match was set up. There was story. The fact that Hangman cost the Dark Order, like, there was so much to that. And I love the fact that they got it out of the way early because they were building up to
the Joker.
The story, the Joker, yes, of course, which I called as MJF from the very beginning.
He did.
And I
Some of us weren't sure, but we should never have doubted. Never doubt Josh Demaree. He had it.
I did.
Remember this. It may not come out of my mouth again for a long time, y'all. So just remember it.
So, overall, I think I'm going to have to say that I thought All Out may not have reached the levels that last year's All Out did, but that's hard to do. We've seen a Ruby Soho and a Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole debut. They did, however, like when MJF, the Joker, got that poker chip, I thought the crowd was going to leave right then. And I was like, no. They'll pay that off at the end.
Yep.
They'll either reveal and cash in or they'll reveal. But ultimately, that you cannot end this show without revealing it. And like,
because Quentin was doubting a little bit. He was like, "Do you think they'll hold it over for Dynamite, or do you think they'll hold it over for Rampage?" And Josh and I are like, "No, there's no way. You're in a Chicago crowd, and you just did that to them." I was like, "That would be the worst play." But you're going to hold it off to the very, very end, so that everybody's wait for it, which is exactly what they did. Because that wasn't technically, I mean, it wasn't a match, but the reveal at the end was really good. You guys can watch it on the show, but the energy in there when the lights go down and you can hear them starting to chant, like the people who want him, you can hear it starting to, it's soft. It's not a full out, but it's MJF, MJF, MJF. And you can hear it build. And then they do that little, the answering machine, the leave the message from Tony Khan thing. And then everyone's like, you can feel it start to build. But when he appears, that crowd popped a cheer. They did not boo him. They cheered him. So that's where I'm saying he's the best heel in the business, because who else walks out total heel, total fill in the blank, okay, total, and gets that much of a cheer. That crowd was so happy to have him back, even as he is a complete and utter jerk. So it was great. I was disappointed because of what happened after that. Unfortunately, it got drowned out by everything else that happened, because it should have been the crowning note of, I'm back, baby, and I'm better, and it. I mean, it should have been that. And so,
you want to know who gets that type of reaction? What type of heel gets that type of reaction? A face.
He ain't babyface yet. Watch him. What are you talking about, face?
Stone Cold.
With the stuff he says.
Becky Lynch.
The stuff he says.
Yep.
He is not face.
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold never said the stuff he said, did he?
Well, he hit Vince McMahon over the head with the bedpan.
Well, okay, that just seems appropriate. That's not okay. Well,
no, but I agree with you. I think that especially right now, the way that they have built his character, like, and this is also coming from somebody who I really love what they've done with Roman as the champ and
bringing in the new bloodline.
Yeah, I think the bloodline is a fantastic
smart
faction.
play, Trips.
I think that you're right, though, when you say that MJF definitely qualifies, I think, that at this point as a top heel. He is a top heel. Mm-hmm. And
playing off like he's going to WWE.
I'm really excited for... what was that thought? I don't know. It just went down the drain. No, sorry. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with him in the storyline. I was hoping that they were going to have him in the tournament that we're going to talk about in a second, but it makes sense they didn't, because he was the winner
Right. He's got the poker chip.
He has the poker chip.
And you
So-
saw them play that. Go ahead.
Yeah, on Dynamite, they actually commented
Yeah.
specifically on that. Oh, hi, look, guys, it's my son, Samuel. Carry on, Don.
So, after all of the incredible matches,
Yeah.
and I agree with you 100%, Deb, when it comes to what I feel like should have been the coverage of the post pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was a situation, and cooler heads did not prevail. I think that it's very interesting the way that things unfolded. And if you don't know what I'm talking about,
Where have you been?
well, it's okay.
Is one question.
Sometimes you're not an AEW fan and you don't know, but that's okay.
Well, okay. Whew.
So
you got a lot to read and look at.
To give you a very quick summary, during the AEW shows, mostly pay-per-views, but they do sometimes do them after regular house shows and stuff like that. They will do a media scrum, which I think, first of all, is incredible.
Yeah.
I think that is really cool that you have people who are actual press, actually there, talking to the wrestlers, asking them questions and stuff like that. So they do a media scrum very similar to like if you go to an NBA game or if you go to an NFL game where they have certain wrestlers come up and you can ask them questions and stuff. So they had CM Punk come out for the media scrum. He had just won the title from Jon Moxley. So he is the newly crowned two-time AEW heavyweight champion. He's sitting there. He's answering questions, and someone asks him a question about Colt Cabana and not necessarily his relationship, but how he felt about Colt Cabana and some of the rumors that Colt wasn't working for AEW anymore because of CM Punk. And I felt like his initial answer to that question was a good answer. He basically, I'm summarizing, feel free to go and check out the actual video. I know that it's on YouTube because I've watched it about 3 or 4 times.
At your own risk.
At your own risk.
Yeah. Not with kids
Not
around.
With kids in the room.
Nope.
Yeah,
Nope. Make sure you got your earbuds in.
There are a lot of expletives in it. But essentially what he says is he personally doesn't care where Colt Cabana works, whether it's AEW or anywhere else, because he hasn't had a relationship with Colt Cabana since I think he said 2014 or something like that, which is about the time that he was going through a lot of the legal stuff and things like that. And so, yeah, I think most wrestling fans who are up to date with things know that CM Punk and Colt Cabana, they're not buddies. They were at one time, but they are not any longer. And I feel like that's where the answer should have stopped. And then it didn't.
Yeah.
And he opened up about his frustrations with Adam Page and cutting a promo with Adam Page and how he felt like it was a bit of a shoot promo. He had issues with certain EVPs and throughout, again, I'm just summarizing, and I definitely encourage you to, again, with discretion, go and check out the video for the actual media scrum part. But he kind of, in real life, has his own little pipe bomb moment right there about all of his frustrations with what's going on in AEW. And I thought it was interesting to just listen to him and watch Tony Khan.
Oh, gosh, that's free
Tony
entertainment.
Khan, I think Tony Khan truly felt like this is the moment that it all burns down.
That's what it looked like.
He is just so taken aback by a lot of the things that
Punk
has to say. So
scorched
the
earth.
result of it,
Scorched earth.
And part of his media scrum was saying if they have a problem with something I'm saying, they can come and talk to me about it.
He said it at least once, if not several times.
Well, they did, and it didn't turn into talking.
It turned into Brawl Out 2022.
It was AEW TLC. So, unfortunately, like I said, cooler heads should have prevailed in this situation. I felt like there was a level of diplomacy that should have been, or if not diplomacy, at least adulthood that should have been exercised in this situation.
Anybody, are there any adults in the whole joint?
Yeah,
Okay.
the new
Oh,
trio
boy.
champs, the
Oh,
Young
boy.
Bucks
Yeah.
and Kenny Omega went to confront Punk about what he had to say.
The new heavyweight champion of AEW.
Because Punk told
Told them
out,
to.
and then he said, if you got a problem with it, come and talk to me. So they went to talk to him. Well, unfortunately, he wasn't interested in talking. And then when they finally got into the room where Punk was, there were fists thrown. There were chairs thrown.
Somebody got bitten. I'm pretty sure that was Kenny
Omega
Omega, but
got
not by
bit.
Larry.
No,
Larry is
the
innocent.
dog. Larry is a dog.
Larry is a dog. Larry did nothing, from what I can tell, other than bark, because he was probably telling them all to chill out.
Right, absolutely.
You know,
and so
yeah.
it was.
Somebody got knocked out with a chair.
So Matt Jackson got punched in the face.
Yeah.
Nick Jackson got hit in the face with the chair, like near his eye.
Yeah.
And Kenny Omega got bit and he got his hair pulled.
Yeah.
And the repercussions and consequences of all of this essentially were that the newly crowned AEW heavyweight champion and the newly crowned, newly introduced trios champions, not only did they get suspended, along with several other people.
Oh, there was multiple other ones in there.
At the time. But they also, unfortunately, which I think, to Tony's credit, it was 100% the move.
We
actually even talked about it after the Fallout.
Fallout from All Out.
They were stripped of their titles. And I feel like and I think what was such a great selling point for me was Moxley's promo on Dynamite the next
watch
Wednesday.
It. Just stop it right here and just watch that promo.
Because he basically just comes out and says, the people that, not using these words, but in a nutshell, the people who are carrying these titles and the people who are elevating this brand are doing it because they have a passion for this brand. Yeah. And they're doing it because they have a passion for the people who love AEW and who love professional wrestling. And here's the thing. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are three of those people. However, they made the wrong decision in a situation that should have been dealt with in a very different way. That being said, Joshy and I and Deb were talking a little bit about that situation, and I said, it's very interesting that it's only been a year since CM Punk came back to professional wrestling. And I do remember, and if you search back in your analogs of wrestling history, there were always rumors when he worked for the WWE that he was hard to work with or that he had a bad attitude. And I think for the most part, we try and be people who look at a situation, at face value. We obviously are not backstage, so we don't know what is rumor and what is true, what is a shoot and what is a work.
Right.
But the situation that happened after All Out was definitely not a work.
Yeah.
And it is extremely unfortunate because there are at least 4 professional wrestlers who are incredible at what they do.
Yeah.
Who have a lot of people who love them, and they made the wrong decision. And then Tony Khan turned it around and made the right decision, which was to immediately have not only those titles stripped, but on Dynamite, that next Dynamite, he had a 6-man tag to crown the new Trios champions, and it was... was it Adam Page in the Dark Order? No, it was. I know that it was Death Triangle.
Death Triangle versus the Best Friends.
Best Friends, that's right.
Yep.
And Death Triangle won the Trios titles in an incredible match.
Yeah.
That match is fantastic.
Yeah, so good.
And then Pac is also Mid-Atlantic champ now. Is that right too? So that's really cool.
Yes.
For him. And then they started a tournament, and I think the tournament was a 2-week tournament, 2 or 3
Yeah,
week
because
tournament.
it culminated at Arthur Ashe. Is that correct, producer?
For the AEW World
the heavyweight
title.
Right. They started it that night, that Dynamite. We did start having matches to do it.
It took place over 3 Dynamites, and it was the Grand Slam Tournament of Champions.
Yes.
Where every person in it was either an AEW champion or former world champion, which is basically how they justified having Bryan Danielson in it, because he was not a former AEW champion, but he's a 6-time world champion.
Well, and Sammy Guevara. Guevara was in it, TNT champ.
Right.
And I think that the matches that came out of those were awesome.
Yeah.
They were awesome matches.
Yeah.
And it culminated at Arthur Ashe with Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson.
Yes. Blackpool Combat Club.
Good Lord.
With Regal on commentary,
Good
making
Lord.
some comments every now and then. Oh, my heavens.
I was
their
sad
hearts.
to see Jericho win the Ring of Honor title, only because I thought it would have been incredible for John and Cesaro. Claudio. Sorry.
Don't say his slave name. Oh, sorry.
Jeez. To have
Sorry.
Claudio and
I'm not sorry.
Mox, be title holders again in Blackpool. But
it might happen.
It is what it is. I think that they had an incredible match, and I agree that I don't think Bryan Danielson losing that title match weakens him as a competitor. But I will say, I love Jon Moxley, but I'm starting to get a little bit of the whole Charlotte Flair, like I'm ready for a different title. Again, after the promo that he cut and after what he's done for that company, I understand the choice, but I also think that there are other people that were in that tournament that have the same character as Jon Moxley that could have very well have been a good possible first-time champ.
So hold on.
Okay, you're gonna cut in.
The spin on that.
Fine, producer. You take the camera.
I'm putting the spin on this because Deb and I had this conversation, and Bryan Danielson as the world champion is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I believe that before his contract is up with AEW, he will at least get one run with that title. He deserves it if he wants it.
Yeah.
He's not there for championships. He's there to wrestle and go to Japan and wrestle. And he's doing that. And he's doing a very good job at it. The thing is that MJF is your next champion.
Oh, yeah. No, I know that.
And MJF beating Jon Moxley, the guy that beat him with, under the rules, an illegal move, is the redemption arc almost for MJF. If you give the title to Bryan Danielson, the guy who has worked his rear off to get back in, to be able to wrestle again after all the injuries and blah, 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 only to then take it with MJF, it kind of shortchanges the Bryan Danielson run. Whereas Jon Moxley, he came back from his vacation
literally,
so that he can win this championship and probably carry them on to Full Gear, maybe before, but Full Gear most likely, to give MJF that and hand it over to MJF so he can then go and have Christmas with his family. I know what you mean about the Charlotte Flair. I get that. But Charlotte Flair being given the championship because they don't have any other plans is different from giving the title back to the guy that shouldn't have lost it because the other guy went and ran his mouth.
Exactly. That was what I was going to say, is it felt like Tony Khan just did you can't see this. Mox, you got it again, because not only did he prove with that promo that he is one of the, I won't say the heart, but one of the hearts beating in AEW. I mean, it was all over. Anybody watching it with any shred of common sense will see that this man will bleed and die. AEW is what it felt like.
If there are 4 pillars, Jon Moxley's the ceiling.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Or he's the floor. He's what's keeping them all from sliding off into oblivion. At any rate, so I think part of it was a thank you for, you just canceled your family vacation, as he tells us, comes back, is one of the 3 people that Tony Khan put in the room to pep talk the Dynamite team before they go out for that Dynamite. Because everyone's watching that Dynamite and it's either going to be a disaster or it's going to be great. And everyone's watching going, how's this all going to come off? Who were the 3 people that they asked to come in, producer? It was Moxley, It was Bryan Danielson, and it was
Jericho.
And it was Jericho. That was it, Chris Jericho. And he did his promo, and he was yelling like, "This is my locker room. No one's taking this locker room from me." And you know that there was some personal statement in that point too. So you asked those three to come in, give your people a pep talk. They went out and they delivered in that Dynamite. And I also agree. You put it on Moxley again. MJF takes it off Moxley. Mox doesn't lose anything. Everyone's still going to adore John Moxley. MJF wins it. And then Danielson beats MJF. Then how high can you push him as your babyface Danielson? He already is, but you take down the devil.
How long do you run
Right?
MJF?
That's what he said.
How long do you run MJF as the champ? Do you run him until All Out and let him go
I think so.
Bryan Danielson at All Out?
I think so. I think that's your match at All Out.
I think you run him past Full Gear because his contract's up at the end of December. I think if he wins it at Full Gear, he has it a year. Where there's literally
whose
a
contract?
that he could run. No, MJF's contract is up at the end of 2023. You run it if he becomes champ. You run it until, and you throw everything you have at him because there's a chance he could leave with it.
So you really so
Right.
so you think that's so that you kayfabe it that he's going to leave with the AEW champion like a WCW WWE angle?
He's already pitching everything there is around that about how he thinks it's gonna be the great contract negotiation whatever of 2024, and if he gets himself the strap and holds it as long as possible, which is part of the reason why they were originally going to go with MJF and Punk. Apparently that was the plan for All Out. Like, I don't want us to spend a whole lot more time on AEW, though I could talk plenty about it because I want to give some time to WWE here. But the original plan was MJF and Punk through the summer that would culminate with MJF winning the championship at All Out, and then Punk got hurt.
So winning it All Out next year was supposed to be the overarching. It was supposed to last for a year. That back and forth between.
No, Punk was going to win it and then lose it in Chicago like 3 months later for the ultimate nuclear heat.
Okay, hold on. He just won it in Chicago. He's going to lose it again at Full Gear? I'm confused where you're like legit, I'm confused. He just won it at All Out and
CM Punk won it at Double or Nothing.
Okay, but then he lost. Well, right. Then we have interim. So he sort of has it, but doesn't have it, whatever that is.
He had the interim because he got hurt.
Right.
What Dave Meltzer was reporting was the original plan was after Punk won, that is when MJF would have returned. And then, which is what he did that night after Double or Nothing is when he did that big rant or whatever. And CM Punk kind of chased him down like, "What are you doing, dude?" Like that was going to be the whole storyline through the summer, culminating at All Out with CM Punk winning the title in Chicago.
But CM Punk got hurt.
Right. So they had.
So
to
when
do
was
the interim
MJF
championship.
supposed? So MJF supposed to chase it, or MJF supposed to win it all out? I'm confused.
He's saying MJF was supposed to win it at All Out against CM Punk, who had the title from Double or Nothing to All Out.
So he got hurt the first time because I'm also thinking because he's hurt now.
Right, he's hurt now.
Okay, this was the first
That's not why
hurt.
he doesn't have the title.
The first because he got hurt the first time.
Yes.
It threw all of those plans into a mess.
That original storyline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought you were telling me.
Dave Meltzer is telling the truth.
Because I thought what you were trying to tell me is that MJF was supposed to it was supposed to be like a dark match after All Out, like after this All Out. Like as soon as Punk wins it, MJF cashes in his chip, takes on Punk, and then Punk holds it for like 10 minutes, and then MJF beats him and wins. That's not what you're saying.
And no, and they're not
Okay.
gonna. I don't ever. At least you can't convince me that they would ever put that match in a dark match.
I wouldn't believe it either, but it would be a ridiculous. I mean, a
there's
ridiculous
no way
move
you throw MJF in any title picture
in a dark match.
in a dark match.
Fair.
Especially against CM Punk because it was their hottest feud of the year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, legit. I get that. Okay, so because Punk got injured the first time, it threw all those plans into a tizzy. So the new plan was, before Explosion 2022 happened, Punk wins, MJF chases Punk until Full Gear. I mean, MJF's going to beat Punk for it eventually, is what the story should have been. Am I kind of on
I
it?
think that's where they were going next.
Okay.
That it was going to be MJF and Punk.
And Punk
in the
again,
Full Gear.
for the title.
Right.
I mean, that's a smart
now
play.
It's MJF and Moxley.
Still not. I mean, it's still going to be really good.
So you think MJF wins at Full Gear and then runs with the title until next year's Full Gear?
Or next year's All Out?
If not later.
Or
That's
next
my
year's All Out.
opinion, but there's still time to tell on that. Because if he wins it sooner than that, I don't think so. But we'll see.
I mean, it's a good theory. I like it.
If you're going to put it on Danielson again, you want Danielson to win at Arthur Ashe.
I still think that
MJF
doing
loses
it at All Out,
yeah,
or something along those lines, letting Bryan win it at All Out, because his contract is not very long either.
Oh, for now, we don't know when he resigns,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
I think it's 3 years, but I'm not privy to that information.
Yeah, someone knows it somewhere. I think
It's a much higher pay grade.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I think Danielson should beat him for it at Arthur Ashe. I think you beat MJF at home to get New York heat / I cheer the complete jerk that is MJF, and I hate you because you beat my hometown hero Arthur Ashe.
Have they done a show in Seattle yet?
I'm not sure.
I don't know the answer.
But,
That's a good point.
They are planning to go next year a lot more on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe that's it. Okay, they go to Seattle and then give it to Danielson in Seattle.
That'd be a fun turn of events and have him win it in Seattle.
There's definitely worse things.
Show in Seattle.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're 35 minutes in.
Okay.
Let's give the Fed a chance.
Yes. The Fed. Let's give the Fed a chance.
No, let's give DX a chance, okay? Because everyone needs more of DX's influence in your life.
Yeah, so if you are, again, not up to date, and we talked about the big transitions that happened in like the March, April, May timeframe with Stephanie taking over the co-CEO chair with Nick Khan. The Khan brothers, and
she's chairwoman of the board, by the way. And Trips revealed in a really, really good interview. Have you seen that interview of Ariel? What is it? Ariel.
Helwani.
Yeah. It's called Is it Ariel Meets or Ariel? I forget what it's called. It's the only episode I've ever seen of it.
It was an interview he did while they were in
Dubai.
No, Britain.
For when they did the UK show.
Sorry, in Wales for the Clash of the Castle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Fantastic interview. If you want to see a great interview, it really is. Triple H, Paul Levesque is fantastic.
Is that the one where he asked him how he felt about the cardiovascular event?
Oh yeah, he totally
I have seen
breaks
that part of it, and it is heartbreaking.
Yeah,
and no pun intended.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. It is incredible to see. I have always been a Triple H mark, and to see Paul Levesque, is just, man. There's nothing better, and he's always been. And has never been anything but a company guy. Mm-hmm. And he is a worker like no other. And the fact that he is now the VP of Creative is just incredible.
Yeah.
So
apparently Steph got the call when they were trying to go on vacation.
Oh,
like they were literally driving up to one of their like lake houses or something, and they're on the drive, and she gets the call from at that point one of the people on the board that says, "Would you be the chair? Will you be chairwoman?" And she's like, "Well, I need to talk to my husband." And they're like, "No, we really need you to make this decision quickly." And she's like, "Okay." So I guess they talk about it for 15, 20 minutes, and she agrees, and she decides to go back. So she was trying to take a break, and she was trying to rest. So he speaks very highly of how her work ethic and how incredible she was with his recovery. And he's like, she's doing everything. Anyway, it's kind of fun because he talks about stuff like from a husband standpoint. It's a great interview. Just so good.
He's a good dude.
He is.
He's a good dude, regardless what people say. And again, business is one thing, personal is another. And when you're in the business of pro wrestling, you can't have a chip on your shoulder or you get hit in the face with a chair.
Correct.
So,
and your bestie watches out for you. Apparently, Sean wouldn't let anybody call him about anything. Is what he heard later. He was like, if you have any problems or whatever, call me. Don't bother him. And he was like, so.
So that being said, this new generation of WWE has been pretty impressive. There's tons of rumors. Of course, we had lots of people who have come back. We had Karrion Kross come back with Scarlett, which has been cool because he's been in a storyline. Remind me, Joshy. Who has he been choking
Drew
out?
McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre, that's right. I was going to say Finn Balor, and I knew that was wrong.
Wrong British guy.
Yeah. Different British dude. Of course,
He is Scottish.
But they're under the Commonwealth.
Yeah, man.
Don't you know?
When you
Her
look-
Majesty.
I don't know if you've ever
Her late
looked at a
Majesty,
map,
the
but the
Queen.
United Kingdom is literally
Her
an entire
the
island.
Commonwealth of which Her late Majesty, the
Yes.
Queen, was over. Balmoral Castle is in Scotland.
Anyhow,
Still not British.
I'll punch you in the face. Okay, so the Scottish psychopath
even
got
gonna
choked
do it.
out by Karrion Kross, who is no longer in a Gimp mask. That's exciting.
He's looking much better these days.
Yeah. Then you have I'm going to say probably one of my favorite, and I'm not even up to date with the whole storyline, but probably one of my favorite storylines to date right now is Dexter Lumis and The Miz. That is so
So silly.
funny. It is so stupid.
So silly.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Josh. It's so good. Like him coming down the side of a cage and Dexter just literally popping out from underneath the ring and staring at him. Like that kind of stuff is so good. The storytelling of that is just so good.
Oh, gosh.
And he's a character who doesn't say anything.
Right.
Like Dexter Lumis he's not a promo guy. Like he's just this dude who, I love it. And then of course you have the Judgment Day. Mm-hmm.
Kevin Owens yelling at Austin Theory was glorious.
My gosh, so good.
Kevin Owens is a jewel.
That dude has just been on
He is a treasure.
point lately.
Oh, man.
He's just been on point
So
lately.
good.
It's good stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm extremely satisfied with a lot of the things that are happening. I thought the last couple of pay-per-view Clash at the Castle I thought was really good. I did think it was really interesting that Tony Khan had a comment about the fact that there were literally like 3 or 4 wrestling promotions going on with big events that weekend. Something about I've got enough money to compete with the best of them, or something along those lines. Like he was.
It was, I have a lot of money and I'm not going to deal with this BS.
Yeah.
He took a very small page out of Punk's book, like about that much by that, about a postage stamp size out of Punk's book.
Yeah.
Got this about as hot as I've ever heard Tony Khan get, which.
Yeah. Well, and that's a business thing, right?
It is.
That's
it
a
is.
business. He's a businessman.
He is.
But I think he also understands the stakes.
Yeah.
He knows that he has incredible talent and incredible stories and an incredible crowd support, audience support for what he's doing.
Yeah.
But he also still is dealing with the biggest shark in the water.
Yep.
Which is the WWE. And
Correct.
in the hands of Stephanie and Trips.
And Shawn Michaels
And-
right there beside
Well,
him.
I just mean, like, you're talking about
You got some brilliant minds.
people who have been champing at the bit
Yeah.
for an opportunity to really let their storytelling shine. And I am not upset with what I have seen.
Nope.
I am really excited that that Sean is running developmental. I think that he is definitely a guy who, obviously understanding his challenges at a much younger career stage. I think that he has a very incredible story to tell when it comes to being somebody who is helping fit the next generation into that WWE mold, because he's also very conscientious about work-life balance. I mean, you're still going to work 320 days a year,
Right.
but he is somebody who really takes care to identify these things for people. If you just listen to the stories that Bryan Danielson and the Adam Cole have about Shawn
Yeah.
and their relationship with Shawn and Triple H when they were in NXT. Johnny Gargano is another one who just came back, which is awesome.
Yes.
I'm really
Johnny
excited
Wrestling.
To see, I'm excited to see what they do with him.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, all of these guys are people who are
Braun Strowman
highly
back looking like a
complimentary,
monster.
right? They're highly complimentary of Shawn.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be really exciting to see how things might change or might evolve into a really cool opportunity for a lot of people who may have been looking for one for a long time and hadn't had it. I think that seeing people like Johnny Gargano and for better or worse, Braun Strowman, I think Braun Strowman under Triple H is definitely going to be handled differently. Not that they've done much differently with him outside of changed his ring attire yet.
Not yet.
Because he's still going out there and just tossing people around.
Wrecking people.
Here's what I think would be really cool. I think it would be really neat to see them really start to push some of those bigger guys in bigger guy competition.
So you think like Braun versus an Omos kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Or,
I think you've got really good opportunities.
I don't know if you can get Brock back again for the 7 millionth time, but
But Drew McIntyre is good. He's huge.
Yes.
And Scottish, apparently, from what I hear.
Really? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Not British.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was, but it's the Commonwealth, right? I mean, they're all
It is
kind
the
of together
Commonwealth,
over
yes.
there.
Why are we running this back? Why?
Yes.
Because we can.
Oh, man. Okay.
I think.
So,
go ahead.
No,
I have
you're
a
fine.
thought, but please.
Go ahead.
do the thing.
Deb, because I didn't.
Okay. I think you're going to get a level of trust from a lot of wrestlers with Tripp's leading that you may not have gotten from his father-in-law, because he's got a lot of, I guess, trust equity, if it is, with the guys and the girls, the gentlemen and the ladies that he led at NXT. And as a result, I think you're going to be able to see more depth of storyline, more trust with length of storyline, maybe some combinations you didn't think of that Tripp and Sean can put into the mix. And I think you're going to get more buy-in from the wrestlers. And I think that's going to show up. That's going to show up in your promos. That's going to show up in how they deliver in the ring. That's going to show up in people coming up with creative ideas themselves. Because when a wrestler has a creative idea that he doesn't think is going to be received well, I can imagine that immediately starts feeding into, well, could I be happier elsewhere or whatever. But if you have someone who can have that creative outlet, because wrestling is a tremendous creative place to be. It's a physical, but it's a creative expression. You let that happen and you're going to have a tremendous opportunity for the wrestling fan. As you hear other people say, what a great time to be a wrestling fan. I can now say that. I did not say that a year ago. Ask my husband. Don't ask my husband. I follow AEW. I was total mark. I still am a mark for AEW. But now, as someone who was not a fan of the way things were before, I'm excited. You've got my attention, Paul Levesque, and you did not have you weren't around to have my attention because someone else had the reins. I'm excited, and have not been excited for WWE in a long time, as you guys know.
So very quickly, and I know that we have transitioned over to WWE talk, but a very exciting return, to the ring, not to WWE, is the former Paige.
We didn't even gotten to that one yet. Soraya?
Soraya.
I think she's going to Soraya.
It is definitely Soraya.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
put that on her Twitter. She goes, it's pronounced Soraya.
Because of
Soraya.
Paige in her former name, probably.
Yeah.
You remember that.
Is now an AEW
All Elite.
talent. I am interested to see how they use her.
Yeah.
If it's just going to be promo stuff or if she's actually in ring healthy.
Because she could be a manager easily. I mean, you could have a lot of options for Paige.
She came out during a Britt Baker spot.
Correct.
So we'll see.
And she did not.
Sorry.
She was not on Britt's side. She was giving high fives to Athena and
I'm just throwing my mic on the floor.
whatever works. Personal choices. She was giving a high five to Athena and Tony. She was kind of shaking hands with them and doing that, who are faces. So seems like she's coming in as face.
She's definitely a face.
Right.
She's
Adam
100%
Cole wasn't.
face.
We thought Adam Cole was going to be face, and he immediately just joined the heel train. So,
I mean,
she's
here's
face.
the thing. If you didn't know Adam Cole wasn't going to join the Elite, then you...
What kind of wrestling fan are you?
You don't know anything about Bullet Club history. That being said, So yeah, we've had a ton of incredible returns. How do you guys feel about the potential and rumored possible return of a Bray Wyatt?
Are we under the assumption he's the White Rabbit? Because I am.
I mean, I am 100%. But I just want to know
Who else would be a White Rabbit?
You know, Allison.
Let's
My
think
question
about
is,
this.
Does he come out in a Hatter hat?
Oh,
You know, with his
I think so.
lantern, or like where does he take his character? How do they change it? Is he going to look for another companion? Is Alexa Bliss going to jump back into that sort of dark, creepy character? I think
I'd be
it would
fine
cool.
with that. I think she'd be great at it.
I loved her.
I did too.
I think, and I think that given the opportunity to rewrite that story,
Yeah.
under
under
a
Trips.
creative guy like Triple H,
I
that
sincerely hope
WrestleMania
so.
match would have been very different.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah. And he loves Randy. He and Randy Orton are
they
longtime friends. But I'm
Wow.
just saying, Triple H loves a good narrative.
Yeah.
So,
And Bray Wyatt, because he briefly talks about that in the Ariel interview, about what a tremendously creative mind Bray Wyatt, we'll go by Bray Wyatt. That's not his actual name, but that
Yeah.
gentleman is.
Wyndham Rotunda.
Correct.
Wyndham Rotunda.
But if we're going to be talking, Bray Wyatt. So, see, you brought Braun Strowman back, too. So you have 2 out of the 3 of the Wyatt clan. If you
2 of the
want
4.
2 of the 4. Okay, 4.
May
Fair.
Brody Lee rest in peace.
man, that would be...
I'm not even Catholic, okay?
If he came back with an homage to Brody Lee, I'm already a huge Fiend Mark.
Oh,
There would
my.
be no one better.
Oh my!
In my opinion.
Oh
Like,
my!
to have him,
I can't even imagine.
to have him come back out. Man, never mind.
Yeah,
I don't even want to go down. Yeah, speaking of a rabbit hole,
Oh man! But can you? Oh, I can't even. I
yeah.
can't.
I
Anyway,
think you could. Now,
I
what is
can't.
Eric doing right now? Because he was on AEW a little bit.
He did a little bit of
is
work. He was there for the-
contracted
oh my
with
gosh.
them?
He's a per performance as Eric Redbeard. He even did I want to say he did the Double or Nothing buy-in or something along those lines.
but he's not doing much. I don't think he's contracted to anybody at this
See,
point. So
I
I
would-
think he's a free agent,
I would
or at least
love to see him. You know who else I'd love to see? I'd love to see somebody who was used horribly under Vince McMahon, who was incredible in NXT. I want to see EC3 come back.
Ooh,
That would be that. I would love to see EC3 come back on a
Willie
main
Connect.
brand and be used correctly.
if anyone could do it, it's going to be Trips.
Right.
Like that's your only. I
that
can't see
dude-
anybody else that could do
dude-
it. But
Yeah, that dude is a package.
yeah,
That
yeah,
dude
he
is a package.
yeah, legit.
And I'd love to see an EC3 Big E back and forth because those dudes are built to beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
Well, I want Big E to come back, and as much as I want him to win his world championship before Goldberg retires, I think.
Oh
when he
my
comes
God,
back,
yes.
we need our Big E Goldberg match.
Oh my
and we know
God.
Big E's gonna lose, but that's okay.
Yeah. I'm really excited for whenever he gets back in the ring.
Yeah.
Man, how long has it been? Has it been 5 months?
I feel 4 to 5 months.
I
don't know.
honestly can't tell
Golly.
you.
Oh, dadgummit. You're going to make me go on my phone while I'm on camera. See, now I've got to
It's all right.
find out.
It's okay.
Jeez.
We'll
All right.
figure it out.
Dom, why don't you close this up while she looks that up?
All right. Okay. So, if you have never joined us on an episode of The Stable, at the end of every episode, we do a 3 count. Well, we're going to do a 3 count on this episode as well. So, I have to finish writing one real quick.
So
with that said, if you're not aware, you can find us on theestablishedfacts.com and on YouTube. Search up The Established Facts. You can find us through The Established Facts Facebook page as well. I know we're called The Stable, but it's just part of the whole Casting Robot Productions family. I'm the casting robot. I'm not the White Rabbit, but I am the casting robot. Please check us out there. You can, of course, watch your pro wrestling wherever you see fit and wherever you can, with Raw on the USA Network and NXT on the USA Network, Dynamite on TBS. You've got Impact on Access TV, and you have New Japan on Roku TV. You've got SmackDown on Fox, and AEW Rampage on TNT's on Friday nights. That's literally every night of the week there's professional wrestling. Let alone, I mentioned New Japan. I know there are even more than that between GCW having their pay-per-views. You can even look up independentwrestlingtv.com or something along those lines. There's so much wrestling out there. So as fans, check all of them out. Come check us out, and we'll have more information soon, hopefully, about Squared Circle Expo 3 coming up Easter weekend in Indianapolis. Are you still Dot?
I think I'm good now. I think I'm good.
So it looks like from a couple of different news sites, they think he's going to be out at least through March of 2023 because they have to rescan his neck to see how well it has healed to figure out if he can even wrestle. And that was an update August 22nd.
He has resumed normal life.
He's gone to the gym because he's doing like some of his lifting again, and he's doing exercising, but as to whether he can actually go in the ring and go through all of the lifts and the throws and everything else, what I was saying is that they want to scan it. I assume as a physician that they're going to want to MRI it to see how well that bone is actually healed.
Yeah, like the solidity of it.
Correct. And also make sure it's not impinging in any way on any of the nerves. Because sometimes when the stuff heals, it can impinge a little bit on different things.
Well, I mean,
he fractured C1 and C6.
I was going to say, I'm not a doctor, but I have had broken bones before. And when they heal, your body is responding by adding more bone onto where that break was. So you're talking about vertebrae. When you're healing those vertebrae, your body's going to naturally add more bone in there, and it can very easily pinch off.
C1 is right below your skull, everybody, and that is not a place you want any type of pinch to ever happen. So that's because of that.
It is still a miracle that man...
Yes, that we still have him around.
Even alive, much less walking and having a normal life.
And able to go to the gym again.
My gosh.
Yeah.
I love that guy so much.
Yeah.
All right. I got our 3 count.
What do we know?
You guys ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. AEW, thank you, Deb, for this, has officially begun issuing military honors.
1.
Scotland is not listed as a part of the Commonwealth of Britain on Wikipedia.
2.
I am very ready to jump down a Wyndham Rotunda rabbit hole.
3.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on episode 18 of The Stable. We love you guys, and we will check you later.
Bye.
Tuesday.